we understand our ideal customer, our audience, the easier it is for us to be able to shape an offer, create an offer that is very specific to solving the pain points, the problems that the audience is having, and satisfying some of those desires and not all of the desires that they're having. The second piece is the messaging, being able to communicate in a language that resonates with that ideal audience and customer. So the more the language is very similar to what is going inside the heads of the audience, the better, because that's going to be language that's going to get their attention. And then the third piece here is channel. Where is the audience congregating? This is important because, as mentioned earlier, if we're positioning or in the wrong location and the audience is somewhere else, we're essentially providing an offer and messaging to a platform where none of your audience is actually that, and that's not best use of resources. So here are different methods to going about understanding your audience, essentially broken down to two: primary research and secondary research. Primary research is a much more involved process, and this is where you may conduct surveys to an existing audience or buy a list and throw out a survey out there. This could also be done digitally. For example, going on Facebook and just dropping one question, a key question, and based on the response from your network or even outside of your network, you could reach out and tap into those individuals to get more specific for a focus group. A focus group is essentially being able to interview one or multiple individuals at a time so that you could get deeper into really understanding what is happening inside the minds of the customer. And by the way, it doesn't just have to be the customer. It could also be a competitor, someone who works at that company who's willing to share that information, those insights, in exchange for some type of compensation. It could be a supplier of some sort, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't have to be customers. However, customers is going to be the key and primary focus because those are the individuals that you are directly wanting to help out. The third one is shadowing. This is essentially the day of spending an entire day with your ideal customer, or spending a chunk of their day with your ideal customer audience and them actually going through the process of doing something. So if you are, for example, a gym owner, then you could shadow potential prospects at a different gym, see what it is that they're doing, learn what it is that they're frustrated, why they're doing a certain activity, and why certain sequence, and so on and so forth. And that will give you a lot of color. As you could imagine, this is much more expensive in terms of process because it requires a lot of your time or your team's time. And then there's others that I think are self-explanatory: web ads and link. Well, essentially what that means is you could do primary research by creating ads, simple landing pages, really for the purpose of understanding what is the potential problem and solution that people are getting. And this could also be used for A/B testing, which is what are good headlines that will captivate the audience. So with that said, you as an entrepreneur and business owner, if you're creating a new product or you're still trying to figure out the kinks in an existing product, creating an ad with the right headline that talks about the problem and talks about the solution that you're bringing to the table, if there's a lot of clicks behind that link, even if the landing page is not even ready, that is evidence, that is data, primary research that tells you that there's a possibility that there's going to be entrepreneurs and business owners out there, or your customers, who's going to want to buy this. So something to be mindful of. So now let's switch over to the secondary research. In the secondary research, essentially, this is sitting on a desk and doing a whole bunch of desktop research. That's really what it comes down to. And some of the tools that are really good for this will be using search engines, trying to identify what a key phrase is, and in the process of doing that, see what's available, going through the various social medias, depending on the offer, the niche, and so on and so forth. You may want to jump into Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and so on. Discussion forums like Reddit and Quora, they will have sometimes valuable information if the audience is present. And then there's industry and company reports, studying the competition, studying more about the industry. And then there's blogs and articles. So these are the two primary methods: primary research and secondary research, to really get you to understand your customer.